The Arrow, written by F.C. Gilbert, Part 1. I have spent time wondering just who I was and who, if anything, I can be. There have been only 3 people to ever break through the barrier of the lower society. It is to a place where they say that we do not belong. They say that we aren't good enough. Our genetics have decided our place. It has always been a dream of mine. Well, if I'm honest, doing great things have always been my dream. People who are my friends and my family have no issue in supporting my dreams and in me reaching my goals. But as soon as I mention moving up to the upper society, I am either laughed at or told to shut up. My mother somehow always faints as soon as those words come out of my mouth. This is always followed by my father slapping me around in my face. Needless to say, I have learned my lesson. For now, though, I am a soldier and the best gun dog in the history of our platoon. There's no world like ours. None has achieved what we have done in such a short time. Just a moment. There it is, the call overhead or deployment to OnGar 6 to assist our allies, the Bentoth, in the defense of their world. Look, her! It is Karen, the love of my life and the finest female soldier in the galaxy. Also, there's her brother Kolchak. They are annoyingly inseparable. It's time to load up. Able sentry Onagah Arrow straps into the Omega landing craft, seated next to his best friend, able sentry Clipmax, who is a brave and loyal friend. They have been through thick and thin, surviving the toughest of missions. They are, however, very concerned over this deployment. For this fight is not their own. Only the gun dogs, some 4,500 soldiers, which are divided into 6 groups from A through F, will go on this mission. The question was asked, why is this elite platoon being sent out on a lowly support mission such as this? Indeed, any of the other divisions could have been chosen instead of this elite platoon. As far as they can tell, it is a straightforward mission with no need of heavy weapons. Comrades in arms once more to join again to do very skillfully as they have been engineered to follow all orders and fighting for causes that have been so carefully selected by their betters. They cram into their seats with equipment and arms, waiting for the countdown to launch. Arrow and Max share silly jokes as the landing crafts depart. At 300 miles per hour, they soar at altitude over the vast landscape. Over forests, hills, and miles of desert, they cross rapidly into the center of the ocean of glory to land inside the EDF Panther. It is 50 miles long and 20 miles high. Like all Galaxy ships, it is moored in the ocean of glory. 5 ships share this quadrant. The Panther is the most famous of all Galaxy ships, single-handedly ending the 90-year war by breaking through the blockade of Typha and unleashing 10,000 space-class fighters to vanquish a horde of years. Now this vessel will lead this mission commanded by Flight Master Arthurian Jas, their greatest military commander and a man of the upper society. All 27 skiffs land inside the cargo bay. Lashed to the tethers, they are made. The soldiers disembark to put on their armor and to strap into them to prepare for the jump to their destination. The message comes over the intercom giving instructions for all personnel to follow. The drives are engaged, giving the engines enough power to slowly lift the massive craft from its resting place. More power is given to fight the pull of gravity. OnGar takes in the view of his home world from the outside once more. Oh, what a glorious sight this mission has granted him again. He takes snapshots of the planet from this high up to share with his parents and a little sister. Clips reminds Arrow that it is now time to find a wife, make sure that their family names live on, and to settle down. After all, war must not be the rest of their lives, as each time they enter battle, it shortens their odds of survival. Now, within the orbit of the planet, the massive aircraft turns a nose southward. Her quantum drives are engaged. Silence grabs this moment as deep breaths are taken, and in the next moment, quantum jump is engaged. 3 seconds later, having traveled a full light year away, the Panther comes out of his jump next to the mission planet. The soldiers are ordered into the landing crafts by their direct superior officer, Chief Inspector Bournes, who is a member of one of the leading upper society families. He lectures them on the free cost of safety and the lack of the need to sacrifice in this instance. This is to save themselves in this, someone else's war. Arrow contemplates these words as they walk the ramp into the landing craft. All have been cleared and ordered to the surface. The troops watch as they approach the most beautiful planet in the cosmos. It is a planet that is gold in color and have 2 belts of red that form the letter X. There are many legends of this world, hearts of stone, shape-shifting mind readers, and women that look like Inishin women, being human-like and so fair, but promises are made not to use their tricks on our heroes. The vessels land at the forward command post. It is a massive operation. 1 million OnGartan are soldiers preparing to advance the Lectian quadrant. Word has already come from the scouts that there is activity at the enemy's jump gates. 5 of the EDF senior officers meet with their counterparts to discuss deployment plans. It is later determined that the ETF will take up the far left flank of the guard lines. Before they can take up their positions, each skiff must take on 3 OnGartan soldiers. 2 females and a man with the numbers 339, 334, and 497 joins Arrow's group. To be appealing, they change their shapes to look more Inishin. 339 is drawn to Onagah and sits between he and the Clip. While Clip is excited by her presence, Arrow is too shy to pursue her. He also has a secret love of Karen playing as his handicap. This event does not go by unnoticed by Karen. She was happy to pretend as if she didn't notice Onagah's admiration, just as long as she was the only one that he had the eyes for. Now there comes a problem that only proactive moves can solve. The transport lands directly onto the area operationally known as Sehktar Ridge, behind the OnGartan soldiers in need of relief. The fresh feet take up their 6-mile-wide positions, while the tired eyes take the same transport back to the command post. It is a desert and desolate sector of a massive front line. F Group is ordered to the very end of the front, with a mile distance between them and E Group. Clip sets up his long-range rifle to scan through his scope, looking for enemies who might not register on their sensors. In the role of the spotter, Arrow scans through his long-range binoculars for all things irregular. Number 339 doesn't see Karen watching her watch Arrow. He is unaware of what is brewing behind him. 30 minutes later, 339 strikes up a conversation with Arrow. She talks about everything from the military to a need of offspring. Arrow tries but fails to keep up with the subjects on offer. They are distracting even to Clip, taking his eyes away from the open ground. Karen, becoming very annoyed with 339 and her blatant advances, hasn't been watching the frontier for the past 5 minutes. There's trouble. Panic ensues. As untranslated messages are being shouted over the radio, the Enithians wait the translation from their local allies. All that can be heard in the background of the transmission is weapons fire and a chain of explosions. When the sound cuts out, 447 reveals that all OnGartan's lines are under massive attack, but the lines are still holding. The chief inspector orders his troop to stand fast and remain vigilant. To his men and women he sounds assured and confident, making them also both assured and confident. After his broadcast, however, he expresses his concern to his second in command. Their forces are too thinly stretched, and apart from only 3 cannons, they are the most lightly armed units on the front. They are technically the weak point in the line, and a major attack could potentially allow a breakthrough of all of their protections. Hopefully the enemy, the merchants, stay true to their character and remain a one-dimensional war machine with little in the way of meaningful tactics. All along the initial line, weapons are primed. Cannons, artillery pieces and mortars, rifles and magnums are all made ready. 20 minutes go by as the chief inspector confirms that the OnGartan lines are falling away, with extra forces being poured in to hold them and to evacuate the high number of casualties that continue to increase. The mobile command post moves backward rapidly to a position over 100 miles away. The chief inspector holds his deep concerns inside as the data is being calculated and the odds are assessed. He expects a fight, but he did not know that the fight would be on this grand scale. It is at this very moment that 10 frigates come out of their jump on the left side of the Panther. They immediately open fire on its broadside as to deploy thousands of space fighters to add to the barrage. The Panther's new force shields absorbs every volley, only to return devastating firepower on its attackers, pounding their shields mercilessly until 2 of them are penetrated and the ships plummet enveloped in black smoke. To the flight master, there seems something very familiar with the attack pattern of this enemy force. He has never seen these frigates or fighters before, and the ship cannot determine their origins. He orders all of his assets to send him as many pictures of this enemy force so that he might have some clue as to who they are. As the photos pour into his console, he makes his discovery. It is the marking of their eternal enemies. The Horde of Years. The Horde of Years returned and rebuilt, knowing what they are capable of, he deploys his fighter force while also sharing this intelligence with all of the battlefield commanders. Alarmed, the chief inspector tries to contact his forces, but communications are being jammed. Precious moments tick away as they work to counter the jam. Precious moments that his soldiers need to prepare and to formulate an appropriate strategy. In the midst of the chaos, while looking at 339, a glint of light touches his left eye for a moment. His training tells him that it was sunlight reflecting the light of the sun of the glass of a scope. He relays this to his comrades, and they all scan downrange. Nothing can be found. No silhouette, no movement, not even the sight of a sandhog. Just as the chief inspector can be barely heard saying, "It's the Horde," a round of explosives erupts into the left shoulder of Cliff's armor. He's knocked backwards onto the ground. His comrades identify the source and with all of their might go after it. After the threat has been neutralized, Arrow finds that some of the shrapnel from the blast that had entered Clip's neck. His blood streams onto the desert floor. How can this be possible? Arrow thinks as he calls for help. The Enithians have no medics, but luckily 339 applies his skills as a medic to tend to the wounded. Karen sees a horde decloak their forces in the distance. It is a full-size army with heavy weapons, hovering battle tanks, elevated cannons, and over 20,000 soldiers. It would appear that the Merchants' attack was designed to pull in and weaken the forces of the Allies, making them think that it was the main attack, when in truth it was a feint to allow the main attack to take place on our heroes. The horde moves forward slowly as Karen sounds the alarm, calling for a reinforcement. It is doubtful that they will actually come, as all of the available sources are engaged. To make themselves ready, turning their shields onto 10 times the power, while targeting all weapons to the area within their effective range. All they can do now is to wait until the greatest enemy is within their range. This is the end of part 1. You have been listening to a production of Infarm Media and the Region Media Group. Please like and subscribe to this channel for more content. This has been a podcast story.